Here we are, bottom of the Smash Mountain, and I would like to thank my supporters over at patreon.com/bsmpod for continuing to support me in what I'm doing. For all the lovely listeners and viewers, of course, you're already here, but just for future reference, there are some people who may or may not know that you can watch these episodes on Spotify instead of just listening on Spotify. You can listen on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You can listen on Amazon Music and Audible. There's all kind of places where you can find this podcast. But where else are you going to go to find the Smash World Tour points leader, tied with Zane? But hey, it's A. Trickle down all the way to Z, you know what I'm saying? Like A gets listed first. This is Amida, who is currently tied with Zane as the current leader at the top of the Smash World Tour points with 800 points, courtesy, or I should say, because of winning Ultra Hard, a tournament that actually happened right about a month ago now, because that was the first weekend of April. So congratulations to that, Amida, and thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so I wanted to, of course, ask you about this tournament and talk about how you got into Melee, things that you enjoy so much about playing the game, stories and stories. But first of all, if as much as you feel comfortable sharing, we had just a little bit of an adventure for you leading up to actually getting to the recording here. You had to really get through all the shenanigans. So as much as you feel comfortable, how did we get to here?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It seems like you've kind of researched like the tournaments that I've been to and everything, but I live in Peru and I don't like speak a whole lot of Spanish, and I was kind of stuck in like this central part of the city in central Lima and got some food poisoning. Couldn't really get back here until I've managed to find an ATM, because there's not like here in where I live, like there's ATMs everywhere, but there, like, there's only like specific spots you can go to find them. And we managed to find one and get a taxi back, and it worked out. But yeah, it was not an experience I'm used to, because everything's, foreign country, and then I don't usually get sick. So just a lot of different things. Yeah.
So you're giving me, well, I appreciate you saying that. I did my research. I like to say that I try to do as much little research as I can, because I have over-researched guests for the podcast before, where they're talking and I go, duh, duh, duh. I finish their sentences because I'm so happy to tell them, to show them, I know who you are. I didn't just ask you on for no reason, right? But it really killed the vibe on the one interview I did, because they're like, will you just let me talk? So I did not know that you're currently in Peru, or just living in Peru. What's the living situation for you like right now?
I moved here with my girlfriend, and I've been living here. So first I came here for 2 months in July 2021. And then now I've been here since December, and actually have like an actual apartment here in Lima, Peru. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
That's super cool. So
that's why I was able to go.
That's why you were able to go to Ultra Hard. So how far away? I mean, I know roughly where Brazil is. I honestly am not 100% sure of where Peru is off the top of my head. See, this is the American in me at work. I don't know my geography, dude.
Yeah, I had to go out of my way to like practice geography on some kind of online test. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of American education system.
GeoGuessr? Are you a GeoGuessr?
No, I haven't. I played that one time with my girlfriend for fun, and we did pretty good. But because we did good because one was like in South America, and then the other one was literally in Kentucky, which is the state I'm from. So I really like that. But I went out of my way to, especially with Europe, like memorize the countries. I don't think I do too well now, but I got good enough to where I only struggled with the African countries and like the island countries, as far as like being able to name them off of a map. As far as like being inside the country, like with GeoGuessr, I've only played it once, so I don't know. But yeah, I really like things like that. To answer your question, Peru is like northwest of South America. It's like right below Colombia, and Colombia is like the very top of South America. And then you have like Central America,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it's actually South America is very weird because when you see the traditional what is the marine map? I don't know the name of it. The traditional map we look at, which is like mm, they all they're all because it's a flat map and
Yes.
the Earth is a sphere.
The
Everything
portions
is
the portions look really
distorted in some
weird.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And each map is going to have its like use for where it's accurate and where it's not accurate. And I think that's best for like the one we always look at is best for mm, boat navigation. I don't know, but yeah, Peru and Brazil, especially like, these countries are actually way, way, way bigger than they seem. Like I know Peru is like the entire west coast of the United States, plus pretty thick as well. And yeah, is that's where it is, and I love it here.
So you moved to there with your girlfriend back in the end of the past year, and ever since you moved down there, it you can get by with the English that you speak, since the Spanish is that the primary language that everybody's speaking down there? Because for other countries in South America, and I work with somebody who spent time, grew up in Brazil, has Brazilian heritage, speaks Portuguese. So that's the question I
Yes,
have: is it
yes.
Portuguese and Spanish, or just Spanish mainly for Peru or where you are?
So I mean, there's a lot of different languages, especially native languages, but in general, all the countries except for Brazil. Maybe I'm wrong. I know there's a French, is it France? I think there's a French colony in South America as well. So maybe they speak French, but in general, it's Spanish, and then Brazil is Portuguese, and then of course a lot of native languages too. But in general, it's Spanish for Peru, and then we just went to Brazil, and my girlfriend also speaks Portuguese, so that was really convenient.
That's really cool to be, just like your other half is sort of carrying hard here and there for you, and then you can carry hard in other
Yeah,
areas. So that's cool. That's cool. No, you
exactly.
you're doing work too, Amida. I'm not trying to discredit you or anything, but I'm curious about, since you born and raised in the United States, is that right?
Yes.
Right. So, how did you first get into melee? Because if you grow up in a place like Kentucky, I don't want to describe it as a place where nothing happens. I just liken it to, it's just not New York City, and you can have
Yeah.
things like the Nintendo GameCube go far and wide, schools and everything everywhere else. But I'm just curious of like what your and the internet. What was your personal introduction to the game?
Yeah. Um, yeah, living in Kentucky, I feel like it's for the Midwest. Well, it's not. It's technically the South, right? I don't know the exact name for that part of the United States, but it's technically the South. But we've always just associated with the Midwest, kind of like how Kentucky was split during the Civil War, where it was like South and North. Culturally, that's how it is. But I actually have always thought that Kentucky was kind of a good location because we can travel to Michigan for the majors that happen there. We can go to Virginia and MDVA, and it's not that bad of a drive either. I've always thought it was kind of like the center, right? And I know that they actually once considered Kentucky to be the capital of the United States because it was the center at that time. So I really like it for that. And we can kind of all get to each other decently fast by car versus somewhere like Indiana where like one can be taken hours to get to another part of Indiana. It's like the Midwest in the Midwest is the way I've always described it. But there is some unique obstacles within Kentucky that kind of makes it still a disadvantage. But how I got into melee personally was through brawl. So my my brother and I always followed, melee and then eventually competitive brawl. And my grandfather would actually play with us, video games in general, and go to tournaments with us. His tag was ROF, something he came up with as retired old fart. And it was just really fun to go to tournaments with him, brawl tournaments. Meet the local community was a really big thing for me. First, it was when I was like, I guess back in like 2010, we went to like semi-casual brawl tournaments. Before like around 2012, we found like the real actual like local scene. And I met someone named Mr. Eric who's just fantastic person, got me into the scene, and we had this like at the Brawl locals, we had like this group of players, like just who loved Melee, 5 people, and they would just play on the side at these tournaments. Some of them still play today, and one day, one tournament, like I just wanted to support them and a few of the other Brawl guys, and I would just enter just for fun. I played Jigglypuff because Jigglypuff played like a Brawl character, right? So I played Jigglypuff, just played casual, and then I was like beating some of them just off my Brawl fundamentals. Same thing with 64. Like I got like 17th, or I don't know if it was 17th or 25th at like one of the apexes in 64, just off of Brawl fundamentals. I played Kirby. it just transferred really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like winning a bunch of Midwest tournaments for 64 as well, just off of Brawl fundamental. I felt so silly for it, but yeah.
Oh, and 64 is so fun though.
I love 64 until you like play like the top like 1%, then you just get destroyed. Like I was like doing really well at all these majors and like winning like a decent amount of prize money off of like these Midwest tournaments, and then like Mariguas, I think is his name, from Mexico, is like 5-stocked me at a major. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
you can eventually
now
0 to death perfectly then you get to that level.
And their spacing is so like, that's the thing about 64 is like the neutral is extremely defensive because the punish game is so strong, and there's less mix-ups in neutral as well. It's just everything's the metagame is more, I would say, more simple, but for me it's really fun. I enjoy it a lot. But yeah, now all the like people in Indiana, they've gotten so good. They'd probably destroy me now. But yeah, that's how I got into Melee, was actually through Brawl, and eventually I started liking the game more and more, and then Smash 4 came out, and I hated it. Like I love Brawl. I can't stand Smash 4. I like Ultimate. I like all the games. The only thing I really did with Smash 4 is like customs were kind of like semi-legal in some parts of the Midwest, and there was a character called Me Brawler, and you could change like his weight and height. I don't know if you've had any experience with Smash 4.
Yeah, I twiddled around with all the settings. Mm-hmm.
And that character was unbelievably broken. Probably the best, in my opinion, the best Smash character to ever exist. By far. Ooh. Just ridiculously broken. Had chain that didn't have chain grabs. I would go to like these like I went to like these Indiana events that had a circuit, and I would pick this character and I would win all the tournaments with this character, and I won the circuit, and like understandably so people hated me for it especially because like it wasn't like, it was kind of, I don't know, it was weird because like I don't know, a lot of people weren't sure if it was technically against the rules or not. It was kind of arbitrary, but he was the only way I had fun with the game. It's because he's like Melee Fox in Smash 4.
Yeah, so one of the things that I didn't realize right away, but I thought, I feel even more sluggish than Brawl, which is weird because in Brawl, it feels so sluggish compared to Melee in terms of the speed. But one of the things that I picked up on after a while, I was like, wait a minute, there's lag when you air dodge and land. Oh, that's so dumb. Yeah. I feel like being punished for like one of my few get out of jail free cards. This is ridiculous. And then Smash 4 is when they introduced ledge trumping, which I hate with a passion. I get it, kind of. Too. You know what? I don't get it. It's dumb. We should be able to hog the ledge. You can have your, extra fancy ledge hogging, little inner mechanic things, because in Melee, you get 30 frames of invincibility no matter what. Yeah. Okay, if you want to tweak around that, but I still think that if a character's holding a ledge, why would you... I don't get it. They should just be able to hog the ledge.
I think they overcorrected. I think, like, PM is like a good example of what they could do. I think it's like you can re-grab the ledge 5 times before you lose your invincibility. Like it's just too strong in Melee, and all they had to do was just balance it.
Yes, but then also like the fact that you can just, like in Smash 4 and Ultimate, you're holding the ledge, and it's hard to edge guard in those 2 games because everybody's recoveries are a lot better, and you're just holding the ledge, and all they have to do is grab it, and you get you get just pushed off. I don't like that. I
Yeah.
just think you should be able to edge hog.
Yeah, I mean, literally my favorite part of Smash is edge guarding. Like it's just so fun to me, and so it ruins the experience for me.
Yes.
But there's and Smash 4 didn't have Snake, which is like one of the reasons I like those games. But I'd say like the biggest thing for me with like Brawl and Smash 4 is what I feel like people don't understand about Brawl is there's two games where the mechanics and the characters are just absolutely broken, and that's Melee and Brawl. So like the amount of like tech and like ways to like control your character and not necessarily like movement. Like Brawl doesn't have like crazy the same level of movement tech as Melee does. It does have a lot, but not to the same degree. But I'd say it's probably the second for as far as movement tech goes. But in general, I just think you have so many options that it ends up taking, like say a character like Meta Knight, which is I guess like an extreme example, but the advantage state in that game is so unbelievably strong that it kind of replaces the combo game of Melee. Now, I personally prefer like the combo game in Melee to like Brawl's advantage state, but in general, like Smash 4 just felt so vanilla compared to Brawl and Melee. And a lot of the combos. Oh, this is kind of a rant I have, and I feel like a lot of platform fighters in general don't do this correctly. And that's one of the best parts of the Melee is the combo system works so well is that you have a good DI system and hit stun. So it's not just about having hit stun; it's about having first like ability and how the combo tree can go. So like you have strong SDI and DI usually on how these combo trees play out. While in Smash 4 it's gonna be down the road up to Mario 4 and that look at and have combos at all, so that just doesn't make sense. But Melee, that's one of the things I love about it is that it's not just about having a combo game. It's about that these combos are always different. It's a sandbox. It's that's why we see things today, years later.
So there's a little bits of parts of it.
I went on a rant there.
No, and I feels bad because
saying,
part of it got lost because you lag spiked. But I understand what you were saying anyway. But for those of you who are newer to listen to Melee podcasts, think about all of the combos that you see in Melee, and you might be looking at it and going, not a lot that the person who's getting comboed can do defensively, and that's not true because of SDI, because of regular DI, and because of little things like edge cancel and slide off DI, you can have all kinds of different ways to escape combos and to be able to be defensive. So while in 64, it may be tempting for you to sort of wait for the person who's comboing you to finish their combo, and then you get to come down from the angel platform and start again. Or, like you said, Mario in Smash 4, just up tilt, up air, up air. There's not really lots of things to do to get out of that. Or for Bayonetta with her special B moves comboing you off to the top of the blast zone. There's not really a whole lot you can do there. Meanwhile, a Falco who wants to truly pillar combo a Falcon or another Spacey properly on Final Destination, and I don't really see a whole lot of Falco players do this except for Mango against Marth, especially. This is crazy, especially against Zane's Marth, who has the craziest defensive options and maneuvers. You have to do a lot of hard work to actually be able to continue your pillar combos as Falco on Final Destination against characters who it's possible to do it with. And it's beautiful. Melee is beautiful for that reason, because when you're getting hit in other games, there's usually not a lot you can do. In Melee, it feels like you have the most options. In a game where most people assume that's where you have the least amount of options, and that's not true.
So it creates more diversity in the combos when the combos are continued. which makes it like a sandbox, and it's so cool. Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to yoink your rants from you, but I felt bad for all the viewers and listeners. They're going, I'm piecing it together. Hopefully, the smart ones, you know exactly what Amida was saying. But just in case anybody's
Yeah,
newer.
yeah, I have a lot of experience competing in all the different games, so it's so easy for me to rant in all different directions and connecting all the games. It's kind of crazy.
Would you say
So I
that?
apologize.
No, it's okay. Would you say that you like the fact that you have been able to play so many different Smash games and play them all fairly well, winning tournaments in Smash 64, winning tournaments in Brawl and Smash 4 or not in Smash? Oh, right. Sorry. You're talking about your Mii Fighter character winning tournaments in Smash 4, pissing off all of Indiana. So you've done a lot of things successfully in a lot of different Smash games. So do you like that, or do you sort of wish I could have maybe sooner committed to just Melee? Or it sounds like you still like playing these other Smash games even today, by the way. So I feel like I already know the answer. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, not just for the games themselves, but for the community from each game. I mean, I even like PM, which I'm not a big fan of personally. Um, just I've met so many cool people in Tennessee. I know like one time Philadelphia, like their PM scene came down to Tennessee, and they were unbelievably nice, and I love them. So it's just the 64 guys in Indiana and in general. It's just I love all the communities from each game. And I wouldn't if I didn't play these games, it would probably have made me worse at Melee because I don't have like a good work ethic with Smash, and a lot of my experience comes from tournaments. So I can take the things I learned from these other games and apply it to the other games. Like how I said that I got good at 64 and Melee through Brawl fundamentals, and then before I like actually focused on those games. So a lot of these tournament experiences I'm having from actually translate over into Melee and make me better at Melee, in my opinion. Yeah, because the work ethic has only been somewhat recent, actually.
Shout outs to Kadoran, who put out a video after winning Smash Camp describing the experience and saying, I'm starting to truly understand there's a difference between playing Melee well and competing well, because for tournaments like Smash Camp or for Genesis or any of these other big majors, you'll have a situation or a scenario where you start playing Melee at about 12 noon, and then you have to play on and off tournament competitive sets until like 10:30 at night. You have to play for over 10 hours, not straight, but like on and off. You can't really quite switch off. So there's a difference between playing Melee well and then playing Melee well competitively, and to be able to actually do it on the spot, regardless of how you're feeling mentally or physically. So do you feel like your competitive scale level, where you maybe would have started off at a 1 when you first started, do you feel like you've maxed that out, or do you still feel like I could still be better as just as a competitor?
So there's one part of being a competitor I'm very bad at, and one that I'm very good at. So like my tournament stamina is extremely good. I've gone to a lot of tournaments where I drive 3 hours to Tennessee with no sleep, and so by the end of the tournament I've been awake for 35 hours, and then I have to drive home 3 hours. One time it was like 6 hours because there was like a boulder that fell on the road or something, and I had to go around. It was on different roads, and it was horrible experience. But during the tournament, I won't eat a lot of times. I don't get much sleep before if I'm anxious about it, and my stamina is just really good. But I think there's players who just kind of have like it's like a warrior spirit in them when they compete. Like they really want to win when they're playing. Like they want it more than the other person. Um, I don't have that so much. Like I don't like when I'm competing. I can be really angry. Like after I lose, and I think that's good because it makes me think about the game and how to improve. But in game, I feel like I just don't have the that like warrior spirit aspect versus someone like Reeve in Kentucky is like he has that. Um, but my stamina with Melee is pretty good. I think one of the biggest things at tournaments that's draining for me is, a lot of people who know me like personally, and car specifically locals in Central Kentucky and carpools, is the person I am there is different from any other tournament where I just struggle a lot with like social anxiety, like like it's actually super bad. So like I feel like I'm very cold when like people come up to me, even I haven't seen them in a long time, and I'm nice, but it's just like I'm not like completely myself because I'm just like so focused on the tournament. I'm anxious, and it's just that I don't do like super well in environments with like more than like 3 people that I'm comfortable with. So I'd say that's like the hardest part for me when it comes to competing in tournaments specifically.
So aside from the socializing thing, you were also talking about having the fire that says, "I will not lose this game." Would you describe
Yeah.
it as autopiloting, that you feel like there's just times where you don't feel like you're actually engaging with the game as much as you should be, especially because it is a tournament set? You're thinking to yourself, "Wait a minute, I'm kind of in friendlies mode right now. I should really
Yeah.
like switch on tourney mode."
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I describe my problems as autopiloting. I know that is a common problem. I would describe like my play sometimes as lazy. So, like for example, if with Puff, I've got to recover in a certain way. And if I do it right, I'm not really going to be punished if I do it perfectly. Like Puff has those tools. But I've got to like do a jump forward air, jump forward air, keep threatening them with the forward air, go to ledge, like kind of plank a little bit, make them give me some respect, and then I slowly get back on stage with those back airs, and then I'm on. But it's like it takes so long, and then I'm called the camper for it. So it's like there's the social aspect of it too. I'm just trying, and I just want to get some neutral back, and it's very easy to just drift in and get up smashed or something. Um, so yeah, I'd say some parts are very lazy, or like maybe I'm not trying to be this most intelligent with like my neutral mix-ups, and I'm just it's kind of like that fiction. I think it was a fiction tweet where he was like, okay, I've played neutral for more than 6 seconds without any interactions. That's enough neutral. That's good neutral. I can go run in with something random. It's kind of like that, like lazy.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm not like medicated, and I have really bad ADHD. If you haven't been able to tell, I kind of rant in different directions, and I think that definitely affects autopiloting. But I just wouldn't know if I would call it autopiloting or just me being lazy with the game. But I definitely feel like I play less lazy in tournament for sure than in friendlies.
Are you the best, most qualified person in the world to diagnose what happened with Hungrybox over the whole pandemic situation? #1 player in the world in 2019, and even if you get second to Zane at Genesis 7 in the beginning of 2020, that's not a bad loss. Zane is an up-and-coming, about to be crowned #1 player. Even if Hungrybox could hold off Zane for another year and looked like he could possibly do it, we all knew Zane was going to be doing what he's doing now, winning big tournaments all in a row. So do you feel like you're the most qualified person to say, I know what happens, I know what Hungrybox is thinking when he just drifts in and then gets hit with multiple peach fairs, multiple peach nairs, and makes it look like an even matchup against Polish or Lod?
I mean, there's a lot of different things you said that I've got a ton of opinions on, so I'll try to think of one to respond to. But for what happened to Hungrybox in the pandemic, I feel like he didn't have the same motivation, and so like that drifting in that you're talking about, like the lazy play, was just constant when he was playing online. Aside from not practicing and not trying to solve the game, and I don't even think at the time he had Crunch as a coach, which obviously Crunch has been insane for Hungrybox.
It's like Crunch, and then he goes to #1 2017. Yep.
Exactly, just unbelievable coach. So he didn't have that, and obviously he had huge mentality problems in the pandemic. I do think Puff gets a decent. With Slippy, it's not so bad because Slippy's pretty good. but especially before Slippy, like I think Puff gets the biggest nerf online. I think and this is like kind of the big thing when it comes to like discussing like the difficulty of characters is a lot of people talk about like characters like how much tech skill they need to be, you know, tournament viable.
Yes.
And I feel like that's the easiest part of Melee, personally, like because tech skill is something that you can just practice alone. And with practice, you know, practice makes perfect. It's good. You're good to go. But like neutral, I think spacing, like having like top level words of top level spacing is like this is not something that you can so easily practice. It's like a lot more arbitrary. And you know, there is like some level of ghosting that you can practice alone, where you can practice neutral like situations in your mind. But in general, you're going to get it from practicing against good players, looking for specific situations, and it's extremely complicated. And I think these things are much harder than like tech skill. And so Puff, which you know all characters need at high level need like good spacing, but I think Puff is this character that you know weaves in and out, like you're poking the character, and if you don't do that correctly, then you can just explode. It's kind of like how the meme where people say Puff dies early because like they're like making fun of the fact that Hungrybox oftentimes doesn't die early. And it's because once you get to a certain level with that skill of spacing and being safe, Puff actually can live a long time, and it's really effective. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between Hungrybox and other Puffs. Is a lot of Puffs at high level just get killed very fast, often, and Hungrybox is just not happening that often. And if you look at like the pandemic Hungrybox, he is dying like early a lot. Like he's just not doing the same level of spacing. Like I think if you look, there's this summit set, the last summit before the pandemic. I don't remember which one it was. I don't know.
Smash Summit 9.
He played. Was it 9?
Yes.
Oh my god! Yeah, and that's the one he won, right?
Yeah,
that's
over Plup. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, that one. That's the best Hungrybox has ever played. Like even today, I don't think he's on that level. Like if you watch especially his set with Fiction, just unbelievable neutral. It's just crazy. I mean, it's obvious why he's like one of the smartest actual people in the community, but I think he's one of the smartest players because just looking at that play is unbelievable. And then you compare that to Pandemic Hungrybox, it's just not the same. He's rushing in a lot more. His spacing is not on the same level. He's dying a lot earlier, and it's hard to notice that, I think. Unless you're like a Puff player. I think a lot of people in the community just don't really understand Puff's place in the meta and Puff as a character. I don't know. I feel like they say ridiculous things all the time, but I also disagree with some of the Puffs on like the Peach matchup, for example. I remember I was in the high level Puff Discord, and I remember like some of the Puffs were saying that the matchup was like 55-45, and I was just like, there's no way. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I'd say those are the biggest things that are there for why he was doing worse in the pandemic. And I think he also had his focus on Ultimate, like building his stream up during that time too, and it worked out for him.
Yes, of course, objectively agree there. Hungrybox is now a top Melee / Ultimate streamer on Twitch. It's very obvious. It's like it's Mango and then it's Hungrybox, more or less, in terms of number 1 and then number 2. So here, tell me what you think about this take. This is something that I was thinking about while you were talking about it. Like when you play online, you can get in your head about how things are going in terms of how the online feels to you. It depends on who you're connecting to, because within a certain ping, it's probably pretty normal, especially if you have good internet, they have good internet. And I'm not talking about Hungrybox playing with a Bluetooth headset and supposing it had audio delay. But I'm talking about
Yeah.
for Puff, when you're weaving in and out, there's a point where you have to decide very quickly. You have to pivot and say, actually, I'm going to go in right now. I'm going for my big read. You have to be looking for it constantly if you're trying to stay just out of range of the other opponent. I mean, that's the best way to get them frustrated, is to be as close as you possibly can, but still they can't reach you. And that's when they start to
Yeah.
get exasperated and make mistakes, and then you can go in. When you're looking for those openings, maybe with online, just like, I mean, you can get in your own head if you're playing on a CRT next to the person who you're playing against. You can get in your own head then, but I think what Hungrybox wasn't used to is online. And so even if online is good, when rollback came out, especially in June of 2020, was still in his head about how to get in versus like everybody can put in their normal inputs and throw out back airs as Fox and up tilts and up throw up air. Marth with the constant fair spamming and nair spamming, auto
Yeah.
cancel, and so on and so on. And then here comes Ben with like amazing needle play and chic
Yeah.
spacing, and Angerbox is just going, this is a, I don't like my brain like telling me to go in now isn't really working. Maybe I'll just go in. You know what? Screw it. I'll just go in. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely he wasn't camping so much, and I don't know how well the camping was working. Um, I think what you said was pretty accurate about where he has to make a decision to go for some sort of read, because I think in general, like Puff is gonna lose. Uh, I try to think of everything in Melee as like having an EV value, like an expected value, EV value, yeah, expected value,
Mm-hmm.
and you try to keep it as be as safe as possible with every decision you make, while having like assessing the risk and reward. And I think like Puff is like that to the highest level, like because up close, like Puff's just gonna have so much less options than like say Fox. But once I win the situation, like he's gonna die a lot of the times. Um, so I had to figure out a way to make myself lose those situations the least amount, or at least if I lose them, try to diminish uh, the punish that they give my character. Um, and I can definitely see like how he kind of got broken with that, where because I feel like I said, comparing him at Summit versus him in the online tournaments was completely different, and I just feel like he wasn't making the same decisions or doing the correct, like EV. Like for example, a lot of high level puffs will try to do the cool thing when they up throw, where they'll try to finish the combo instead of going for the rest. And in general, like that's just not good, because the amount of times you're going to finish that combo and kill the character without rest is just very unlikely. Like there's not many like combo trees that end with that. It would take a lot of reads, and in some ways, just it's just not going to be possible. So you have to take the rest like
Yes.
almost every time, because your goal for Fox is to get Fox to last stock. That's like the one time Puff has an advantage in the matchup, is when it's last stock, because one neutral win with Puff is going to win the game. So yeah, it's the game plan with. I'm trying to actually go away from this, and try to see Melee as more complex. But I do, I have traditionally have thought of Puff's game plan as a lot more direct and simple. Like I think you have to be really smart to get in a lot of ways, but I do think there's only so many game plans in neutral, specifically neutral, that Puff can have, and I think it's actually a limiting aspect of the character. So yeah, I don't know. It's tough.
So let's talk about your run at Ultra Hard. And the way to intro into this is you're minding your own business, and then they say, hey, Smash World Tour, we're going to have a big little video thingy about it. And you go, okay, cool, cool, cool. And unlike a recent video, being teased by everybody at VGBC. We had to go back to the lab again for that one. Sorry, Gimmer, I had to do that. All right, anyway, they came up with the Smash World Tour news. Hey, remember when we were talking about doing the point system for 2020, and then that kind of got like, we're actually going to do that this time. So this is cool. If you go to Ultra Hard in the beginning of April, which is, by the way, like 3 weeks away, you can go to your first platinum event for Melee of the year. Woo! The entire community was like, I don't think I could get to Brazil that quickly. But yeah, sure, why not? And everybody in the Melee Stats Discord is like, who's gonna get that free 800 points or whatever? And as soon as they saw that you, Amida, were entering, everybody was going, oh, Amida's got this. But I'm just curious, you saw that video and you go, ultra hard? Like, what was your reaction to that?
Yeah. I have a lot more free time now, and I was just really excited about Smash World Tour because I like traveling. I like meeting people from different cultures, and I want to go to like a lot of these, especially the Latin American tournaments, not just because I live here now, but just because I love Latin America. But also like the Japanese one. There's like a Japanese platinum event. I really want to go to that. So in general, I want to travel a lot this year.
Well,
but we'll see.
1,600 points. That might be pretty hype. Sorry, but
Yeah,
I'm getting ahead of myself. Please talk about Ultra Hard.
Yeah. So my girlfriend and I have been to travel, and she's got some like I think her grandfather was from Brazil. So she's kind of always wanted to go. She's studied Portuguese for a long time. And so I was like, yeah, do you want to go to this? And she said, yeah, it sounds fun. So we flew into Rio, and I always forget like the name of the I just call it Jesus statue, but it's like Christ the Redeemer, right?
Yeah, I think so. I know which one you're talking. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I told some Brazilian like ultimate players that, and they were just like, "It's Christ the Redeemer." I was like, "I'm sorry," but I went to that. That was actually cool because that was better than I expected. Because like a lot of times you go to like a touristy thing and it's like worse than you expected. That was better than I expected. That was really fun. But I just like enjoyed Rio, which was really cool. Like the city that's like got a lot of green in it, and a beach on the side. It's just really unique. I really liked it. And then we took a bus for like 7 hours. I didn't get to sleep at all. So I was Ultra Hard was another tournament. I didn't sleep for like 30 hours when I was doing it. That was tough. But yeah,
oh my gosh,
we rode in a bus 7 hours. Yeah, 7 hours there, and there was like 3 tournament setups, and it was a 25-man tournament, I believe. And then like all the ultimate players was like going crazy, and there's some traditional fighting games too.
yes.
Really cool. I didn't like the city that it was in. I couldn't find much to do there. So I didn't like it as much as Rio, but the tournament itself was awesome. I loved the people there. Everyone was super nice. The energy, like the energy from like the Brazilian players and all the other Latin American countries that participated was just really good. Like I loved it. Yeah. I love my experience there.
Talk to me about how bracket went. So you're on, a little bit of a sleep deprivation thing, 30 hours in, and you are on winner's side grands, are you not?
Yeah. So there was one person that dropped out that I was worried about before, named Rocket, which is like a Young League player, and like Young League's kind of scary.
Yeah.
I was gonna play him, and then there was a Kyosi, I believe is how you pronounce it, is a Doc player, which is another like mid tier that's kind of scary for me and Puff, and that's who I ended up having to play first. And then after I 2-0'd him, and then it was the second game was really close, and then after him I played I believe after that was the best in Brazil, which is Ison. Oh my god, I don't remember. is because I always every time I see it, I just shorten it to Ison, but I don't remember how to pronounce it. I feel bad for that. But he's unbelievably good. He took a game off me that on Pokemon. He infinited me. That was because it was vanilla at Pokemon Stadium, and I got infinite. It was the first time in 2 years I played on Pokemon Stadium, and yeah, that was I was mad about that. But I mean, it was a 2 stock, so he won the game fair. But it was just I just remember that specifically from the tournament, like my reintroduction to Pokemon Stadium. Oh my god. Um, and then I played Raiken finals and grands, and that I won that 6-0. I played him before on net playing. That's what mostly how I've been practicing recently, is playing a lot with Chile, which Chile has just got amazing players. They're great community. Love them so much. And I played Raiken a few times there, and he would take games off me, and was really good. But I feel like Puff is just like a much better character in person. For testing people's nerves and for playing neutral. I just feel like I feel so much better in the game online in person. Sometimes but overall it's pretty good. But neutral, I feel so much safer in person, and I think that really made a big difference versus Raiken. So I won 6-0 versus him, and he's a really good player. He's second in Chile. The one notable thing I'll say about Ultra Hard is the best in Chile didn't show up, and that's Chepe. He was at Smash World Tour.
Friend of the program.
He's like my practice. Yeah, he's my practice partner right now. So like we're playing all the time, and we're like as even as it can possibly get. We played one online tournament, and he actually beat me. So like if he went to Ultra Hard, there was a good chance I could have lost. And yeah, Chape is a player I think will be like, you interviewed him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's got the work ethic. He's got everything except for it's obviously he lives in South America, so it's difficult to get out to the American events. But I think he's like top 20. I think he could get to top 20 level within a year or a year and a half for sure. I think he's got the talent and the work ethic, so I think that's someone to look out for. But yeah,
the Chape as of now is planning on going to Smash Factor 9 and also to Double Down as long as everything lines up for the trip out there. So that would be super cool. And I know that Chape wanted to run for Summit 13, but then was like, wait, nope, never mind. Just gonna pull out real quick.
And I know there's been some good notable players in Chile that are like either retired or semi-retired, or just I haven't played them yet, or they aren't going to events right now currently. Dark is a notable one that everybody knows, but there's a player named Blassie who randomly went to an American event and did like super well. Like I don't remember what placing he got or what turn it was, but he just like did extremely well. And so I haven't played him yet, and I don't know how good he would do if he had went to Ultra Hard. I don't know. I know Chepe says that he's around his level, so I don't know. There's a lot of good players I haven't played yet in South America, and I'm excited for it. This is the most motivated I've been for Melee in years.
Yeah, so talk to me about the work ethic that you have. You kind of alluded to it earlier in our conversation. You were saying it's kind of coming in nicely. So please talk to me. What has been lighting the fire for actually saying I could lab this game and I could grind this game. I want to do it. Hey, this is nice.
Yeah, I feel like there's a few things that are contributing to that. I think one, there's more stepping stones. It's kind of like instead of just being in the United States, right, where it's like extremely competitive, and here it's competitive, but more, all the best players are like more around my level, so it's like stepping stones. I'm not far from being able to say I'm the best in all South America, right? So it's like me and Chepe right now are like at that level, and then there's, like I said, the retired players, so it's like stepping stones, right? And I think it's just really healthy. And then I'm playing online a lot with people in Peru and Chile and Brazil, and especially Chepe has been great for me as far as motivation goes, because we're like right at that same level. And we talk a lot about the game, and we're playing a lot, and it's just that's been like probably the biggest factor. It's just I'm playing a lot more online, and so I'm a lot more motivated. And the third thing is when I was like I said, with my like social anxiety, is always scared to like post in like the Melee online. I'm in Masters, but it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of like a weird thing for me where I don't really ask for friendlies at tournaments either, for the same reason. It's I'll just sit down, and if someone comes out to me, they come out to me. I don't know. It's a weird thing I get over, but that's not as much of a factor here. Where I feel like I've been welcomed here by all the people here in South America, and they're all super nice, and just a different context, kind of like just being able to reset. So coming here has just it's a situation where I can just reset, and I love that. Yeah, I'd say it's those are the primary factors.
So talk to me about the whole traveling thing for you, and the fact that you want to go to Japan to go to the Melee, and I forget the name of it too, but the Melee Platinum event that they have out there. That's going to be super cool to watch, because I really hope to see players like Engen, and obviously Amsa, assuming that Amsa is still living in. When is Amsa moving to Canada, by the way? But okay, I'm getting distracted. For you, you have travel plans.
Yeah, I don't know if I can make it out there or not. It depends on, how much money I have saved up, but I'd really like it. I really want to go. I think there's one in Puerto Rico. I don't know if it's Puerto Rico. I think so. And I wanted to go to that. They announced one in Cuba, but it was like for Ultimate. I was really disappointed because I really wanted to go there.
Yeah, it's an Ultimate only tournament. I know the one you're talking about. I was like, ooh, oh.
Exactly. That was my reaction. I was like, oh my God, come on. Because I think it's only been like the last, 5 years? I don't remember exactly that Americans are like permitted to go into Cuba. I don't know. Maybe that's misinformation. I don't know. But I feel like I've heard that. Like we haven't been able to travel there for, only for, a recent time.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is.
Well, plant the Melee seed, to take a CRT setup and be like, hey, who wants to play Melee? If you play Jigglypuff, it's like playing Ultimate. It's like if you play Peach, it's like playing Ultimate.
It's just something a place that I'd really like to go to. And just having Smash as an excuse to travel is just really cool. And the only thing is I really miss carpools in the US, because that was one of the best parts of Melee. My best memories definitely come from carpools. So I'll miss that. Flying sucks. It's definitely a worse experience than carpools. But, it is what it is. Things change.
Well, what about the fact that you get to travel with your girlfriend? I mean, you both go to Japan, right?
Yeah, that's super fun. I love that. The only thing is she doesn't have a visa, so we can't go to like the American events, and that sucks. But we can go anywhere that she can go with a Peruvian passport. And then, when she gets her visa, then we can travel a lot in the US, and it'll be great.
Yeah, you're going to get a visa in time for the Smash World Tour finals, because how could you not go? That would be...
I will definitely be able to go. I'd have to go without her, so I'll definitely be able to go. But I do hope she has her visa by then, because it'd be cool to finally bring her, because she hasn't even met my family, right?
Right.
And COVID just has made getting a visa so much more difficult. Yeah, I don't know. It's annoying.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so how did you two meet? Sorry to take a sidebar, but like I'm thinking now, like if she's not allowed in the United States and you were living in the United States, but then you were also in Peru, not randomly, but is that how you met when you were originally out there?
No, I've always like wanted to kind of move out of the US, and like 3 countries I was like really looking at was Mexico, Peru, and Vietnam. And I ended up deciding on Peru, and I was going to travel there anyways, and maybe even try to live there. And so my big thing is like, I'm not too big on like the touristy stuff in countries. Like say, like if I go to France, like going to the Eiffel Tower,
the Jesus statue.
Cool.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not like that's not my thing. I'd rather like go hiking or like do some of the stuff that you're not gonna see like straight from Googling, you know? And the best way to do that is like finding someone like local who can like show you around. So I downloaded Tinder
No, you
and
didn't.
and I
Oh,
yeah, that's how that happened. And she was like on there for like political activism. Um like there was literally the time I was like putting myself out there was when they had some kind of problems with their president and like they had a huge like protest across the city, and she did that. I think she like at one point like threw like a tear gas canister at the police or something. I don't know what she did. She said she threw
allegedly.
something at them.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy, but yeah. So I met her doing that, and she was like using Tinder as a way to get people to vote or something for the person she wanted to be elected. And we matched. We fit each other really well, and I was like, cool. So it was like I was like romantically interested at that point. And then I came and visited her in May 2021. That worked out really well. So I lived with her for 2 months in July, August, and then now I've been here since December. So I love it.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Let's get a visa. Let's get you both to the Smash World Tour, meet the family, all that. The Smash World Tour finals, I mean, do all that.
Yeah.
So here's hoping. I mean, and what I love hearing as well is the idea that there are a lot of really good players in South America. First of all, that is true. That is just true. Okay. To not only validate South American players, but I hope that someone like Chape or Pikachu 942, Pika 942, hope she's listening. South America's got good melee players, right? But then you have people who you can build the storyline in your own head really easily, where you go, I could possibly be the best player in South America if I continue to grind and I continue to play. And it's easy when Chape is hitting you up and saying, let's play, and you go, oh yeah,
Yep.
and you know how good Chape is, and you say, well, if I can play even with Chape, I could probably play even with a lot of the North American based players, Canada, the United States, the players from Japan, the players from Europe. So it's really cool that you can have that storyline for yourself. It's not just for the people that like following all things melee. It's also for the players themselves. I think obviously I'm sure that Leffen and how he thinks about melee from his own perspective is all kinds of interesting. But when I read tweets about how disappointed he is about not being able to have a certain level of practice that he expects and demands, I'm sure it's in his mind, like he's thinking, I wish that there were players that I felt like were at my level, but it's tough when you're top 5, literally. Like,
Yeah,
there's only 4
exactly.
other players that are like you in the world. But for you, that's not necessarily the problem. Not yet,
Yeah.
anyway. Oh my gosh. Well, we have Amida tweets in 2023 saying, where are all the good players? Nobody's as good as me in South America.
I would never do that. I would never do that.
Well, one and hey, is if you're able to do, and this is something that I don't always feel comfortable with either. 3+ people in the room, I start to go, I need a person to
Yeah.
like latch onto, not like in a bad
Yeah.
way. I
Yeah.
just can we like,
I get what you
we need a buddy system for large crowds. Like, you got my
exactly.
back, I got your back. We gotta navigate this sea of people. But if you're able to master all that, that'd be super cool. So I'm excited to see what happens. And well, to finish up, what do you have any final thoughts that you want to speak your piece on? Because you're here. This is your show for the episode. That's a podcast that we're doing now. So I don't want to make it feel like I missed something. Or if you have something on your mind, please share. And that's how we'll start to outro out.
Sure. The only thing I was gonna add, I guess, was, once my girlfriend gets her visa, I think there's a good chance we'll end up moving out towards NorCal. So we'll see how that goes. That'd be cool to live out there, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, aside from that, I don't have anything on my mind.
So, where can the people find you to follow along on the journey, to see all the pictures and the such and the such? Because, traveling, food, Smash, yay!
Yeah. I do have an Instagram, I guess. I don't even run it. Like my girlfriend just posts there, like for me, because I'm not a big social media guy. Like I didn't have Twitter until 2020. Like after I did good at Genesis, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'll do this.
Found him. I found Amida. Sure enough.
Yeah, I do have that. My Twitter's kind of boring, I think, but yeah, it's so Twitter and Instagram.
Okay, but at Amida N64 on Twitter, what is it for Instagram? You'll have to send me a link because I did not look at your Instagram. I'm not on it anymore.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I believe it's the same.
Very cool.
I believe it's Amida 64.
That's crazy. You already have like a kind of a low key manager for you already. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, she like posts on my like Facebook stories and like Instagram stories. I'm just like, I don't care.
Is she comfortable having her name said on the podcast, or does she want to be as low key about that as possible?
She can have it, yeah.
No, I just want you to give a shout out to her because we've talked about her enough. I feel like she deserves a shout out.
Yeah, sure. Let me see. I get the exact name.
Oh, I see what you're saying for your Instagram handle. No, I was saying I don't know her name is what I'm saying. I want to give her a shout out and say shout outs to.
Oh, her name. Oh, I thought you were saying you wanted to shout out her Twitter or something. I was okay. Yeah, her name is Fiorella.
Shout outs Fiorella. Way to support Amida. That's super cool. You're awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
I actually don't even pronounce. I don't think I pronounce her name like correctly. It's like I'm so bad with like certain types of Spanish pronunciation. I just call her Fio because I think it sounds cooler too. But like Fiorella, it's like Fiorella. I don't know. I'm horrible with Spanish. So.
Shout outs Fio. That's minorly horrified to find out 60 minutes in, but you know what? That's how we'll end this time, and I can't wait to potentially talk to you in the future, especially after a nice little run at Smash World Tour Finals or what have you. But otherwise, Mita, thank you so much for joining me on Bottom of the Smash Mountain.
Thank you.